Hi, everyone. Welcome to Our Disabled Future, a series where disabled voices lead the way. I'm your host, Nico, and it is a good day for disability inclusion. Each day during Disability Pride Month and beyond, I'm amplifying real disabled stories, where we are, where we want to go, and how the heck we're going to get there. Together, I think. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Fletcher. Eagle-eyed viewers will remember Fletcher for my project last year, True Disabled Story. Let's dive in and see what he's been up to. Hi, Fletcher. Thank you for joining me.
How's it going, Nico?
Well,
Good, good. Hi again. I'm Fletcher Gray. As I told about before, I am an autistic man. And I've just been kind of going about life, just getting stuff done. I mean, there's no other way to really put it. I'm just
that's
getting
true.
out there getting it done.
All right. Well, tell us about yourself. Tell us about your disabled life.
All right. As an autistic man, I have sensory issues. So there have been moments where I've had to really watch what clothing I put on, how my skin is doing at certain types of time. There have been moments where I've had temperature regulation issues. So there have been moments where I'm in shorts and a t-shirt, and all of a sudden I'm freezing cold, and I don't know why. Or I'll be in just some other place or time, and all of a sudden that overstimulation kicks in, and now I have to kind of park myself away from social gathering or get myself together, just pop into a hall, take a quick breather, and come right back into everyday life. And I mean, really, that's just about it.
Fantastic. Thank you. What does a disability friendly future look like for you? So, before we hit record, we were talking about a new career move you're making and how you had kind of made progress since we last chatted. So, I'm interested to know what a disability friendly future looks like for you specifically.
Of course. Um, a lot of my research focuses on disability and accessibility standards when it comes to higher education, right? So a lot of the ways in which we decide to engage not only our retention rates, but also our students and our general student body doesn't match up to what is necessary in the coming years or decades. Right now, we have about a 50% retention rate for any given institution when it comes to a person with disability as they drop out at around, well, during their 4 years of college. And most of the time, we only have like 15-20% of people with disabilities going into their grad school years, getting that master or even smaller still, their PhDs. If we really want to improve our infrastructure, our scientific endeavors, even our medical endeavors, where a lot of people with disabilities really stand to benefit, then we have to include people with disabilities at that table. And that means we have to recognize that accommodations are not just a footnote at the very end of a given syllabi, that our community resources are not just something that we can kind of notice and then walk away from. We have to support them. And even then, a lot of people with disabilities don't know or understand or have even been taught their culture. Greyhounding, how people use systematic infrastructure with a busing system to send people across state lines when mental health hospitals were running out of space. Section 14C of the Fair Labor Standards Act, where people were being paid pennies on the dollar because they were disabled and they weren't fully able to get the resources that they needed. The Autism Genocide Clock of 2005, a big project that happened in 2005 that nobody really has learned about or understood because our history is often underdiscussed. Even the ugly laws, where people were systematically segregated because of the fact that they were disabled per state law. So, if we want to make our future successful and to be more ready to tackle these issues, then one, we have to watch out when laws are actually starting to become pretty abrasive and potentially harmful towards those with disabilities, like the autism registry that people are trying to espouse right now. We have to watch out for when departments that are involving education or accessibility or disability resources are starting to shut down because those are our big resources. We have to recognize that the infrastructure that we have in place is constantly needing to be innovated and improved. A lot of our roads are often marred with potholes and all these different issues, and we can't work on ourselves if we can't even get to work in the first place. And then finally, if we really want to improve our relationships with each other and improve the ways in which people with disabilities can get around from day to day and to make those things more accessible, we have to talk to people with disabilities. Because if we don't make that point active, or at least instill that sense of training or sense of social responsibility, then how are we going to be able to advance anything in the first place? That's about it.
That's remarkable. You raise great points. Thank you, Fletcher. You talk about listening to disabled people, sharing disabled history, and all of these sound wonderful in abstract. The tougher question then is how do we build that future? What strategies do we use? Do we need to pass legislation? What are our action steps from your perspective?
Laws are definitely a great place to start. If we really want to look at it, again, higher education, there's very little law in the state right or in many states right now that are willing to make those accessibility standards more prevalent, or at the very least improve those standards for training, which we've seen very little of. And Ms. Jessica Lopez, hi, and my research entitled Anti-Ableism, a Change-Making Report, we looked at all 50 states and their laws regarding higher education disability accessibility standards, and there's very little. Right, we looked at the historical precedents. We divided it into four different areas regarding the West Coast, the Midwest, and then the North Atlantic and the South Atlantic. And we found that though there were laws in place, 16 out of 50 states had zero laws on the books at all. So that's basically a really good way to start. If you want these laws or you want any accessibility standards to be made for higher education, you have to look at the law book because that's usually where those standards are set and made permanent, right? Secondary is our exposure to disabled culture. There are things called disability cultural centers, which work to provide history, cultural context, art, music, all of these different things that make up a disabled identity, or at least help to promote a disabled identity. And it's very rare for a person to engage with something outside of the context of Rain Man or these very dated senses of what a disability might be. And oftentimes, movies and shows get them wrong. There's a various misperception that's happening where I, as an autistic man, am consistently compared to a man who is, I believe, dead. Dustin Hoffman, I believe is alive still anymore. But oh, so we are correct. So that's back in 1988, 1990. It's 2025. So why is it that I'm watching shows where it still focuses on autism as a social problem, where there's a social miscommunication standard? Well, I can talk just as clear as you or I any day. I can button my clothes, I can cook my own meals, I can pay my own bills. Hell, I have a possible presentation with Columbia in July. So why is it that I am consistently seen as this othered man who is unable to speak, and yet I can speak eloquently here and now? That is why disabled culture matters. And the exposure standard also matters, because once we have these centers where people can actively talk and grow their own fields and recognize their own perspectives as well as other people's perspectives, then we can move forward on a social basis. Then we can promote these different changes into these different aspects that we want to be a part of.
I love this roadmap that you've planned out. This step-by-step document really speaks to me as somebody who loves structure. And I should specify for any pop culture fans that Dustin Hoffman is in fact alive.
I apologize.
No, it's all right. Um, I really respect how forthright you're being about being an autistic man, given that current U.S. discourse around people on the autism spectrum has become really heated currently. All right, Fletcher. As we close our time together, I want to give you a chance that you and I, as disabled people, so rarely get, and that is a chance to brag about yourself, talk about a recent win that you've experienced, or maybe something cool you have currently in progress. If you want to grow your presence online, grow your connections, where can people find you? But just in general, start bragging about yourself. Go ahead.
Thank you. Recently, the publication and the presentation with Columbia coming up in July are huge wins for me. I never thought that these things would happen to me in the next 10 to 20 years, more or less, not a month ago. And it's heartfelt. Um, and a recognition also needs to be made when we look at the laws that our states currently have when it comes to any educational programs. Just recently, in the last couple months, I talked with Ohio's Department of Youth Services talking about Section 5.234 of Ohio state law, which is Disability History and Awareness Month. And in these laws, there's often a loophole that says the word may or provide the opportunity to, but states rarely allow for these things to be enforced within a public educational sector of K through 12. So I sent an email to our director saying, hey, we have this law. It's been out for 10 years. Are we doing this? Thankfully, with this, October coming here soon in the next couple months, DYS has agreed to do Disability History Month for juvenile corrections and might be doing so department wide, which is helpful. There's also been projects under the works right now involving an expansion of the current research to focus on people with disabilities and the larger infrastructure that's there, as well as possibly working with Reporters Without Borders. There was a Minecraft server that was made as a storage place for knowledge that other countries might not be able to access. And I was thinking it might be a good idea to create a disability rights server, or at the very least, a place where we can compile a lot of this knowledge and information that might potentially either be erased as time goes on or might very well be forgotten and not discovered. So having something that people can access freely and regularly is very much important.
I think so. I really love this idea you have of a secure online place to store our knowledge and our cultural documents. That seems very important to me.
Thank
All
you.
right, Fletcher, thank you so much for your time. I've enjoyed catching up with you.
Same here. Thank you.
All right, folks, tune in next time. And remember, this is our disabled future, and we're building it one day at a time together. Wherever you go, whatever you do, I'm rooting for you, and I can't wait to see what you do next. Bye.